Welcome to Rocket Garage, and on this video it's going to be a little different because we're going to be talking about the lift I purchased last year. This is not really going to be a how to install video, more like a one man can install this lift because pretty much I did it myself. Me and my dad wired it, but essentially you could do it with one person and no big tools, I guess, right? Like no lifts or things. Anyways, so I bought this lift on Amazon. It's a 10,000 pound lift. That's what it's rated for. I don't know if I would trust it with 10,000 pounds. That's just my opinion. But I only lift things that are like no more than 7. So 10,000 gives me a little bit of leeway there. You can't get this lift anymore. It's discontinued. So I was gonna put a link in the description, but I'm sure there's other lifts that replaced it. But when I bought this one, I guess it went unavailable like right after I purchased it. So must have been the last one in the country. The biggest gripe I have with this lift is actually the pump location. I would have rather, before I put this together, cut the bracket off and raised it, but then I don't think the lines would have fit, so I would have had to make lines and everything. But I'm not a tall person, and this is where the buttons and stuff are. So I think that's a little low. I mean, maybe if you were like 4'2", it would be perfect, but if you're any taller than 5 foot, then this is just a weird location. So I guess I'll show you guys how I actually got this thing home and put up, and then we'll get back to present day. Shipping was pretty easy. Amazon just called me and said what drop-off location they were gonna use, and then FedEx just loaded it for me on the trailer. Okay, so here's the lift I got off of Amazon. That's pretty incredible that they actually sell car lifts on their website. Plan is to install the lift about right here at like a 45-degree angle or whatever. I'm gonna pull the Bronco in and just kind of see where it lands and then pick the best spot. Hopefully this is enough room to get pretty much any vehicle that I work on in here. All we gotta do is somehow get this thing off the trailer, unpack it, and start assembly. Gonna have to kind of swing it a little wide if I want it right there. And it's right on the edge of where my 6-inch concrete is. Might have to rethink this one. Don't try this at home. Should do it. Super sketchy. It's not stupid if it works. Yeah. Yep. Okay, you caught me. There's 2 of us moving the lift. So it wasn't totally a one-man band, but I could have got away with doing it by myself. But if there is a second set of hands, why? Why would you do it by yourself? It's not worth your back, I guess. No one touch. Finally getting to the unboxing. It's been a few days since I looked at it and finally decided it's time to get this thing installed. Actually came pretty well packaged for what it is, wrapped in cardboard and bubble wrap and saran wrap and all that. The arms were shipped inside the what do you call it, the uprights, the posts. Then I had to get it off the casters, so I just lifted it with the cherry picker. This is where I found out how heavy those posts really were. The package was 1,500 pounds, and I'm going to assume each post was 600 or 650, somewhere around there. Oh, got the lift taken apart off of the shipping brackets, the pump and the arms and the gantry and stuff. This is kind of the general area that this side's going to go because it's got the pump bracket, and I want it to be as close to the power as possible, so I wanted it on this side. I have this post laying here. I'm going to switch it around 180, but on the instructions it says 1.5 meters from the ends of any extensions, and this concrete's probably 7 inches deep, maybe a little deeper, maybe a little less, but you need 5 foot or 1.5 meters. It's all Japanese stuff or Chinese. So I went off this wall to here and off that extension to here. So this is kind of my no-go zone. The lift has to be within this. And then I'm probably going to point it at whatever degree, that is probably like 15 degrees. That way when you pull in through the door, it's almost a straight shot. This is my first plan of attack. I was trying to be as kind of safe as possible. Moved everything out of the way and tried to use the cherry picker, and I realized that was just not going to work. Then I tried to strap it up a little differently, and the fulcrum of the post was not where I wanted it to be. All right, it's about to get real redneck real quick. Got the come along the chain. I got the cherry picker on this side. I got a strap. Take 3. This was probably my worst idea and just a big waste of time, was trying to cantilever it over. But anyways, I extended the post and realized that I could get some pretty good leverage if I just walked it up. It was still heavy, but it worked. Well, once I put the extension out, I had a little bit more leverage, and I jacked it up about, whatever that is, 2 foot. And I committed to it. I'm gonna feel that in the morning, but it is probably like 700 pounds, I would say. But it's up there. It's heavy. Yeah, I'm gonna regret that, but it's up. I'm gonna go contemplate life and go eat something, and then do this one. Then I gotta measure out. What I'm trying to do is keep this post as in line with the doorway as possible, so it's not interfering with driving straight through this shop. Pretty much a straight shot once the Bronco's moved in and out of the door. I think most cars, as long as I just keep one project here, one here, one in and out, and then something parked right where the race truck is, I think that'll work perfectly. I could have 4 cars in here being worked on. not just my junk storage. What do you think, Lily? I think I messed up. I was gonna put the pump actuator here because I was thinking it was gonna be, obviously it's technically shorter to the wall down to the box. But if I would have been thinking a little bit further ahead, this post is pretty darn near the roof, and I could run the power, drop it down, and then bring it over. Where am I? Right here. Drop it down and bring it over. So what I'm thinking is I'm thinking of switching them. I should have just left it the way it was, and I had to be all sophisticated and try to get it close, and now it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna rest because that killed me. And then I'll flip them and I'm gonna get back to it. Honestly, it's not that hard to install this lift. All you need is a hammer drill with the right size bit for the anchors and a little bit of electrical know-how, which the instructions are garbage, so you're gonna have to figure that one out on your own. The bolts are not labeled, so you just gonna have to fiddle around and figure out how many of the holes you need to fill with how many bolts that they give you. Again, this video was not a how-to per se. It was more of if you have one person, or if you only one person, you can install this lift with a little bit of redneckery and some thinking. At the end of the day, it's not a high quality lift, but it does get a vehicle off the ground, and I feel 80% safe underneath it, so I think that's pretty good odds. My advice, if you're thinking about a lift, if you're only gonna do a couple things a year, then I probably wouldn't get it. If you have multiple projects, or you're thinking about getting multiple projects, or you're gonna be working on cars all through the year, at least 12 times a year, a lift might be worth it to you. If you're gonna be running a production shop where you're running through cars weekly, a cheap lift is probably not the go-to. Get a name brand, get a Rotary, Bend Pack, a Weaver. Weaver lifts are pretty good. Name brand, something you can get parts for, something that there's a service department for. Because when this breaks, I doubt you're gonna have any support. You're gonna have to figure it all out on your own. With that being said, if you just work on your own cars or a couple cars a year, a lift like this is a lifesaver. Literally a back saver. So much easier to pull rear ends, transmissions, engines, you know, pull the body off a frame or something like that. I mean, there's so many different uses for this that make life in a project easier. 6-month review, I like it. It's helped me. It's saved me a lot of time in stuff like this. So if you're thinking about a lift, a cheap one may be an option, but that's on you. Think about parts, think about safety. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed a one-man band installing a lift. I paid for that for like a week doing that myself, but can't beat stupid. See y'all in the next one.